Make your protagonist addictive to follow. Section 1, the internal engine. Why does your character start their journey, and why should the audience care? Every hero needs a why. For example, Deku from My Hero Academia. He is desperate to become the #1 hero. He just wants to be like his own hero, All Might, but he is quirkless and is unable to do so. His why factor is to become the #1 hero in spite of his flaws, or his missing quirk. The inciting incident is the moment where everything falls into place, pushing the main character forward. Deku's inciting incident is meeting All Might and All Might granting him his power. From then on, the show can catapult forward on Midoriya's journey, learning to become the #1 hero. Every character has a relatability factor. If the audience can't connect with your protagonist, then how are we supposed to be excited to follow them? There needs to be a bridge between hero and us. If we can't understand their struggle, then we won't want to follow their journey. The moral compass. Most heroes aren't pure unless it's like Superman or Aragorn. Most people dabble in the dark more than they'd care to admit. Your protagonist should reflect that human complexity, as long as it's, a human and that's what you're going for. Section 2, the hero's identity. What makes your character unique enough to follow? What makes this character the chosen one of your narrative specifically? Are there side characters that would be more interesting to have a POV from? What makes your character worth following above everyone else in the world? For example, Luke Skywalker. His lineage is what makes him interesting. You find out from Obi-Wan that his father was a renowned Jedi, and Luke is placed on a path to try and follow in his father's footsteps. Deku wants to become the #1 hero, but has no quirk, in a world where most people have quirks. Something about your character should stick out to make them different from the rest, to make it clear why we are following them instead of someone else. Defining the arc. Don't make your character one note. Have them change over the course of your story, unless the point is to have them not change, and that typically ends up being their downfall. If there's no reason to their arc, then there's no reason to be reading or interacting with your story. The primary conflict. What is your character trying to overcome? Think of this as the fuel that keeps the plot moving and your readers engaged. If there's not a clear reason for why your character is moving or doing things, then why would a person interact with your story? Section 3, the narrative weight. What are the stakes of your story, and where does it end? What is the hero's footprint on your world? Does your character's journey change the world around him, visually or even culturally? At the end of the story, is the world the same as it was in the beginning? If so, was that by design, or was it a failure? The last thing you want your story to feel like is a circle, unless that is the point of your story. The law of consequences. A story without consequence is hollow. It doesn't feel real, because in the real world, every action we take has a consequence. No matter how small or large it still is a consequence. Their choices, good and bad, must leave a mark on the world around them, because in reality, our choices affect the people around us. So in your world, if your character decides to go left instead of right, who is he missing out on? Who is he affecting to making that decision? And how does the world change because of that? If you watched my previous video on making villains unforgettable, you'd see that these two videos are quite similar. And there is one specific reason for that. And it's because protagonists and antagonists are similar in nature. They are almost the same, except divided by one singular choice: to be good or to be bad. A good antagonist can be a protagonist from their POV, and vice versa. That's what makes the good guy and the bad guy the most interesting characters typically in a story. Your main character and your villain are going to be the two characters that your readers or your engagers remember the most. Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader. Frodo, Aragorn, all the goats from the Fellowship, Sauron. Batman, Joker. Those are very concrete and plain versions of good and bad, but when you extrapolate that down into more complexity, it is still that simple. The most interesting characters in your story are the good and the bad guy, the main character and the villain. And once you realize that both of those characters can be so in-depth and interesting, I think it makes it significantly more fun creating those characters. And it gets easier over time. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. If you didn't, well, sorry.